The Bible commands compassion for the poor. Jesus said to care for the least of these. The prophets condemned oppression and corruption. But does Scripture teach fairness, economic equality, or government redistribution? What's the difference between justice and social justice? Social justice, biblical compassion, or politics? Welcome to Into the Desert, exploring the wilderness of ideas. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. We need your support. The algorithms are pushing divisive content while hiding serious discussion. Please become a fellow adventurer on Patreon and support this channel's mission of encouraging discussion, not division. The link is in the description. Social justice supporters want a fair and equitable division of resources, opportunities, and privileges in society. While not everyone advocating social justice does so for theological reasons, nor are those who do restricted to Christianity. Some do argue that there are justifications and even obligations for social justice in the Bible. At first glance, the case seems pretty straightforward and strong. As Commissioner Andrew Kalai of the Salvation Army writes, "We look at the Old Testament prophets, and time and again they raised their voice against oppression, injustice, dishonesty, and corruption against the rulers of the ancient world, including Israel." In Amos chapter 5, verse 11, God pronounces judgment because you trample the poor continuously. Zechariah chapter 7, verse 10 warns, "You are not to wrong the widow, orphans, the foreigner, or the poor, and you are not to plan evil against each other." The New Testament likewise is very consistent. In Matthew chapter 25, verses 42 through 45, Jesus says,
"I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't welcome me. I was naked, and you didn't clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or as a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and didn't help you?" Then he will say to them, "I tell all of you with certainty, since you didn't do it for one of the least important of these, you didn't do it for me."
Another key verse is Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. "Because all of you are one in the Messiah Jesus, a person is no longer a Jew or a Greek, a slave or a free person, a male or a female." Note that this was a verse that Christians in the South who tried to find support for slavery conveniently overlooked. Still, when it comes to concern for those who are disadvantaged and the equality of all, the message of both the Old Testament and the New Testament is clear. But is this a solid foundation for social justice? The problem is that while this is sufficient for justice, social justice is more than this, particularly as it moves from theory into practice and pushes specific policies. It is not a question about concern for the poor and disadvantaged, but whether the Bible teaches economic equality through the particular political agenda of fairness, supported by social justice advocates to achieve their goals. While there is a debate concerning just how early the word fair begins to take on its modern meaning, it is clear that an equivalent Hebrew or Greek word does not appear in the Old or New Testament. When translations do use the word fair, it translates the meaning of beautiful, such as in the King James Version's translation of the Song of Solomon chapter 7, verse 6. "How fair and pleasant art thou," or the weather, as in the NIV's translation of Matthew chapter 16, verse 2. "It will be fair weather." The lack of the word casts doubt on the importance of the concept. Still, there are places where fairness does seem to play a role. In the parable of the workers in the vineyard found in Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 through 16, the landowner hires workers for his field in the morning and adds more at various points during the day, including just before that day's work ends. When the time came to pay the workers, the landowner paid each worker the same amount, 1 denarius, regardless of how long they had worked. Those hired at the start of the day began to complain to the landowners. "These last fellows worked only an hour, but you paid them the same as us, and we've been working all day, enduring the scorching heat." Matthew chapter 20, verses 11 and 12. Issues of fairness are in play here, but while this may offend our sense of fairness, the Greek text says there was no wrong done, not unfair in many modern translations. Matthew chapter 20, verse 13. While the underlying message deals with heaven rather than economics, it is one of the most explicit passages to at least touch on fairness. Given the scant references to fairness, it is hard to claim that it plays the central role that advocates of social justice have given it. The Bible is concerned with objective right and wrong, rather than the subjective fair and unfair. At best, this passage might suggest some concept of economic equality, as they were all paid the same amount. However, it is not equal pay for equal work, and as such, reveals some of the problems with equality, for equality in one sense is inequality in another. Another parable has a different view of economic equality. In the parable of the talents, a man leaves on a trip, giving his servants various amounts of money before going. To one man he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, based on their ability. Matthew chapter 25, verse 17. When he returned, the servants showed what they had done with the money. The first 2 had doubled the money, and the man rewarded them. The servant who received only 1 talent earned nothing and could only return the talent. Rather than equalizing their money, the man took the single talent away and gave it to the man with the most money. Again, the parable is about the kingdom of heaven, not economics, so the messages are not in conflict. However, the point is they hardly paint a picture of equality. Some supporters see a better example in the description in Acts, where
all the believers were united and shared everything with one another. They made it their practice to sell their possessions and goods, and to distribute the proceeds to anyone who was in need. United in purpose, they went to the temple every day, ate at each other's homes, and shared their food with glad and humble hearts.
Acts chapter 2, verses 44 through 46. One of the issues here is that this looks more descriptive of what the early believers did rather than prescriptive, that is, a command for others to follow. It certainly did not last very long, and later passages hint that it may have resulted in some problems. In Acts chapter 11, the Christians at Antioch take up a collection for Judea. Later, the Corinthians also collected gifts to aid Jerusalem. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 3, 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 14. At the church in Thessalonica, some were counting on the charity of others, causing Paul to write, "While we were with you, we gave you this order. If anyone does not want to work, he shouldn't eat." 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10. Charity is not automatically good. While the claims for fairness and economic equality are suspect, social justice advocates don't stop there. And when they move beyond these concerns and towards particular political policies, more profound issues emerge. These are very problematic. In short, there is a difference between justice and social justice, particularly the justice described in the Bible. An essential aspect of biblical justice is God does not show partiality. Romans chapter 2, verse 11. In Deuteronomy, the Israelites are told,
"Appoint judges and civil servants according to your tribes in all your cities that the Lord your God is about to give you, so they may judge the people impartially. You must not twist justice, show favoritism, or take bribes, because a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the speech of the righteous. You are to pursue justice and only justice, so you may live and possess the land that the Lord your God is about to give you.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 18 through 20. Yet social justice divides people into various groups based on things like race, ethnicity, and income, advocating for some over others. Many social justice advocates explicitly reject the concept of impartiality and give preference to the poor. Yet the Bible says, "You are not to be unjust in deciding a case. You are not to show partiality to the poor or honor the great. Instead, decide the case of your neighbor with righteousness." Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. There are other problems as well. The 10th commandment states, "You are not to covet your neighbor's house. You are not to covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor." Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. A significant component of social justice is not only coveting, but taking from one group to give to another. This taking is often justified by pointing to passages about giving to the poor. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 11 says, "Since poor people won't cease to exist in the land, therefore I am commanding you, be sure to be generous to your poor and needy relatives in your land." Jesus said, "Give to the person who asks you for something, and do not turn away from the person who wants to borrow something from you." Matthew chapter 5, verse 42. While this is indeed what we should do, there is a massive difference between giving and having your money taken. In fact, it is impossible to fulfill these commandments through taxation. Despite its purpose, having the government take your money, particularly with automatic withholdings, is not the same as choosing to give to the poor. Taxation cannot satisfy a religious duty. There is no religious duty to forcibly take money from others and give it to the poor. Again, the advocates of social justice often label resistance to government programs for the poor as selfish, greedy, and indicative of a lack of concern. Yet, this conflicts with the well-documented phenomenon that those in groups that tend to support social justice give less to charity than those in groups that tend to oppose it. I believe the core injunction on this issue is 1 John chapter 3, verse 17 and 18.
Whoever has earthly possessions and notices a brother in need and yet withholds his compassion from him, how can the love of God be present in him? Little children, we must stop expressing love merely by our words and manner of speech. We must love also in action and in truth.
Given that the passage starts with earthly possessions, it is somewhat surprising that the initial injunction concerns compassion rather than possessions. This injunction is our primary responsibility, to have compassion for those in need. It is through this compassion that everything else must flow. But our obligation does not stop there, nor can it be fulfilled with words. Our compassion must work itself out, in action and in truth. The latter is again somewhat surprising. Rather than the statement that we must give of our possessions that one might expect, John speaks of actions and truth. That John talks of actions makes sense. We must act on our compassion, and this will often involve sharing not only our possessions, but our time. But how does truth play into all of this? I would argue that truth is the hardest part of the command. It is often effortless to think that we could give some money as if checking off a box and that this fulfills our obligation. But that is not a true working out of compassion. This does not mean that giving money is wrong. That may be the best and most compassionate thing to do in various circumstances. But true compassion does not stop there. True compassion is not about me and whether I have fulfilled some obligation to the poor. True compassion is not something to make me feel good. It is an investment into lives. A genuine concern seeks to actually better the lives of those in need. Genuine compassion is concerned with results. Are lives improved? For short-term needs, such as those following a national disaster like a flood, tornado, or earthquake, short-term results may be all that is needed. But for more long-term problems, just giving away our possessions may be ineffective and, in fact, even counterproductive. Giving money to an addict to feed their addiction is not helping the situation. So the Bible does teach justice and compassion for those in need, but that is somewhat different than the government policies advocated by supporters of social justice. So what do you think? Do you believe there is a difference between justice and our modern social justice? Can compassion for the poor exist apart from government programs, or are the two inseparable? Leave a comment below and keep the discussion respectful and thoughtful. We read as many comments as we can and are interested in hearing the different perspectives on this issue. If you made it this far, consider watching one of our other videos and supporting our channel on Patreon. Thank you for watching Into the Desert, exploring the wilderness of ideas. And to our fellow adventurers, a special thank you for helping to support this channel out on Patreon.